Your name's Levine? Yeah. You call yourself a salesman, you son of a bitch? I don't gotta listen to this shit. You certainly don't, pal. Because the good news is you're fired. The bad news is you've got just 1 week to regain your job, starting with tonight. Starting with tonight's sit. Oh, have I got your attention now?
Daniel, hi.
Could you make me a woman?
Honey, I'm so happy. Oh, come here.
I knew you'd understand. Is this gonna hurt?
Don't whine, just relax.
Are you sure?
Just remember, pain is beauty. Okay, here we go. Take a deep breath. Instant eye lift.
Wow.
And you'll never see the strings. They'll be under the wig.
The man has 5 o'clock shadow at 8:30 a.m. and you're worried about strings?
All right, we'll start with makeup.
I'm not gonna wax.
Don't worry, we'll just lightly spackle.
I feel like Gloria Swanson.
You look like a mother.
I'm ready for my close-up, Mr. DeMille.
Okay, everyone. Let's pray.
Chris Gouser here with
Matt Howell. And this week on the first run, we catch up with yet another Norwegian meta body horror comedy fairy tale deconstruction, The Ugly Stepsister. Folks, you want Hollywood to stop making these? You need to stop seeing them, but I guess they're just giving the people what they want. As always, Chris gives you the rundown of the big releases on physical media, the Viper video, and the streaming picks of the week. Then we give you our 5 favorite fairy tale movies, which proved a lot harder than I thought. Especially if you were trying to stay away from the animated variety. But we'll get into that. Chris, why don't you give us a little taste, an amuse-bouche, if you will, of The Ugly Stepsister?
All right, and enjoy the, Norwegian? Dutch stuff?
It's Norwegian, yeah.
Yeah.
Kungen och hans son, hans majestät prins Julian, bjuder härmed alla adliga jungfrur till bal på slottet. 4 fullmånader från nästa fullmåne.
Ett bal? Ja.
Namn?
Agnes Angelica Alicia Victoria von Morgongstjärna Munte av Rosenhoff.
And there you go. That scene, Matt, is when the emissary of the prince comes to the castle and says, listen, the prince is looking to take a bride. We're having a ball. What's your name? We'll give you a little invite as long as you are a virgin. So Matt would not be invited. And that's our Cinderella, if I may, receiving her invite. The scene continues to then get an invite to the stepsister as well, Elvira, which I enjoyed immensely. Always ringing it as Elvira, obviously, in the Americanized version my entire life.
Sure.
So,
well,
there you go.
Well, I mean, you've given us a taste, and obviously, you know, this genre is super popular, so I'm sure everybody knows what it's about. But why don't you give us a little breakdown of what The Ugly Stepsister is about for those living under a rock?
Sure. So it is basically a dark reinterpretation of Cinderella. This time, though, focusing from the point of view of one of the wicked stepsisters. Of course, Elvira, played by Leah Moren. And all the things that she must do to help save her family, they basically marry for money, right? Mm-hmm. Then the cat dies, and he's got no money either. So there's been a big mix-up, a little whoop-de-doo there, huh? And then their only way they can kind of save their lives or their station and all that stuff is for the eldest daughter to change her aesthetic, her look, right? Because she is, we'll just say politely, I guess, for this film, she is ordinary. All right, there's nothing particularly striking about her. Maybe she's a little overweight for a Disney Cinderella princess type thing. I don't know. She certainly feels, though, that she has aesthetic challenges that are going to hold her back, and her family, particularly her mother, are willing to do anything to whip her into shape, get her pretty enough for the prince to notice her, and then marry her, and all the horror that entails.
I like how they use a Norwegian model to play the ugly stepsister.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, good for her.
Yeah, good for her. So, Chris,
we're not going to hire some Uggo. Definitely going to go. We're gonna. She's all. Not much. She's all that. What's the? What is? I guess.
Oh, not another teen movie.
That was one of them.
Ugh. Those overalls have paint all over them, and those glasses and that ponytail. Who could be attracted to her?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, you had a question, please.
Yeah, so I mean, in the long tradition of deconstructive fairy tales, how does this one fit? Where does this slot in for you? Was it successful, or is it a little too much?
I would say yes to both of those things. I enjoy a hard-to-watch horror film. I'm not going to drop the C word here, but it does focus on body horror. And not every, that gentleman is much more than just a body horror director. So I'm starting to get tired of them. Always, it seems to be the only name drop you can say is Cronenberg when everybody talks about body horror for some reason.
Well, I mean, when you basically invented the genre, you'll have to forgive people if that's the standard they hold people to.
Fair, I guess. Fine, whatever. Regardless, I think it is both, Matt. I think it is exceptionally over the top. There are some scenes when I was curled up into my chair, like going, "Oh God, no. And maybe because I also have an irrational fear of tapeworms. It's like one of my longest fears that I ever had. I think my father told me about them when I was a kid, like 8 or something like that, or 9. And it's been a fear of mine ever since. And it possibly is the most graphic kind of tapeworm scene that I have ever seen. But not just that. There are a bunch of moments in this film where Elvira goes in the knife, endures horrible, horrid things to try and become more traditionally attractive. And it's not just that, though. It's the horror, too, like the dominating and domineering mother and all the lengths she's willing to go to. I mean, there's a lot of vile stuff in this film. And is it over the top? Is it a bit too much? Yeah. But I still enjoyed it, man. I had quite a time.
Yeah, it's got these ludicrous tone shifts, right? So it's kind of played like almost silly at times. Like it's a kind of a cringe.
There's certainly some humor in it for sure.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like a cringe comedy kind of thing, like it's makes you uncomfortable just how inept she is. And, look at this girl. And then they do something physically horrible to her. And it's getting butchered by this, primitive plastic surgeon and, all this stuff. It's just, like you said, it's completely over the top. I feel like it's maybe a little too real, if I may put it that way. It doesn't have like that kind of surrealistic quality that a lot of body horror does, where it almost kind of takes you out of it, which is an interesting take considering this is a fairy tale, quite literally like a classic fairy tale with magic and things that apparently happen, but it doesn't have that veneer of, that surreal feel to it and that element of the fantastic, although there maybe have some little twinges of like Brazil and Gilliam, and especially when she's getting worked on in the operating room and getting like things like her eyelashes put in. It seemed like something straight out of Brazil, but I digress. I think it does a lot to kind of set you off of balance, right? And it's just kind of cruel how they just torture this poor girl. They kind of keep getting her up to right where she thinks she needs to be before they snatch it away from her, right? The nose surgery is somehow a success, right? It apparently it works great. She's at the ball and she's actually got the prince's attention, right? And just things are looking good for her until, effortless Blondie over here just walks in and steals the show, right? And it's just like, it's just one thing after the other. You feel for Elvira. I guess, it's got some casual cruelness in it, which I'm not sure is something that I'm super on board with. Those Europeans, man, they like to torture their main characters even if they don't deserve it. So overall, I think it does what it's set out to do. I just don't know if it's something that I'll ever revisit.
Yeah, I think it does a good job of holding on to the fairy tale motif. Maybe it doesn't have this realistic quality that like you don't see the cart turn back into a pumpkin, right? You see just the pumpkin, perhaps, right? Little moments like that. So there are, as Matt said, there are moments where the magic is certainly implied to still exist in this story. But I think our focus here is Elvira, and I think that Mirren does a fantastic job of being this woman who's trapped in a victim of her mother's machinations and then her own aspirations as well, but she's more swallowed up by her mother and what is kind of demanded of her. And then as she is slowly pushed into madness, really, by the requirements that she puts upon herself and her mother puts upon her. And then when Agnes, who is our Cinderella, steals the prince away, you could see it's a really good job of balancing the fact that you feel for her and you feel bad for her, but you're also terrified that she's going to murder everybody in the room as well, right? Because she's finally kind of snapped, which is shown by how she handles the fact that she needs to get her foot to fit into the slipper, into the shoe, right? Which is, again, one of the more cringeworthy scenes of the past couple of years. So I would think it's overall, I found it very successful. I enjoyed the score as well, which was a mashup of period kind of instruments along with my beloved kind of synth horror film, music as well. And I think those two things actually came together really well for me. I really appreciated that. And like I said, overall, I think this was interesting. In a year, I feel past few years, we've had a lot of great horror films. We had a great body horror film last year with The Substance, and I think that this is, I think, taking this story and tilting it not only on its head, but grabbing it by its neck and then forcing it down to the ground. I think that the writer-director Emil Blichfeld, I think this is a debut feature for her. And I feel like I'm watching Raw again, Julia Ducournau's film, where I'm very excited to see what she does next. Because maybe it's not entirely successful from start to finish, but there is a lot in here to enjoy if you have the stomach for it.
Yeah, that's a big if, right? I don't think this is a film for everyone. I think you're going to have to be of a certain bent. I think we say that every single time we watch one of these body horror films. I think it's pretty good. I don't know if it's kind of gets in that upper tier echelon, especially some of the more recent ones that we've seen. But overall, I had a good time. I liked it.
What did you give it then? Give me a grade.
I'm going to give it a solid B.
I gave it a B+. So there you go.
There you go.
Oceans apart as always.
As always. The gulf cannot be bridged.
Did you wait for the end of the credits?
No, I didn't.
You get one last look at the Lord at the very end.
All right, I'll have to pull it back up on Shudder and watch it through the credits.
There you go. So The Ugly Stepsister is available on Shudder right now. You can also rent it or buy it on all your digital platforms too. And maybe if you're in a cool, hip, big city, you could actually still see it in the theater. The Ugly Stepsister. I would love to hear your thoughts. Shoot us an email at feedback@thefirstrun.com. Man, that tapeworm thing, Matt, it just, I don't know what it is. There's a few things in my life. There's that. There's worms or something coming out of pores, you get an infection and then stuff comes out like that. That's another thing too. I absolutely I cannot handle it. I think about it and I start to recoil. I have a visceral reaction to it. It's just,
we all have those things, but I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say what mine are, just in case it ever comes up, that I could be under someone's spell, right? But now I know. Tapeworms for Chris.
Son of a bitch. All right, fine. Let's talk about what's coming up on physical media this upcoming Tuesday, May 20th.
Now, one more thing. Where does he keep his supply? Hey. What are you trying to get me killed? Come on, Priscilla. Where does he keep it? You know, don't you? You lived with him. You get out of here. Right now. Go on. Get out of here. Get out! So you want to play with knives, huh? Well, you picked the wrong player. No. No, please, look, I didn't mean nothing. Please. Oh, no. Now I'm going to give you another slice to match the one you got from that dog pushing pimp. Unless you tell me where he keeps the stuff. No, please. He'll kill me. Oh, all right. All right.
That is the classic Pam Grier in Coffee, part of the Blaxploitation Classics Volume 1 being released by Shout Factory this upcoming Tuesday, May 20th. Also includes Across 110th Street, Hell Up in Harlem, Black Caesar, Truck Turner, and Sheba Baby. And a bunch of special features included on this one too, but one of the things I wanted to mention was that they initially pushed out the artwork for this, and it was panned so universally that they removed the art and they just have the title of it now, and they kept the same color scheme. You can Google and look it up. And part of me is like, oh, I don't care for that. But then part of me is like, oh, that sucks if you're the artist who designed that. I guess maybe you still got paid, so that's fine, but that would be a big blow to my ego if I had designed a cover for a box set and everybody hated it and they pulled it from the cover.
Right.
So that would sting. That was number 5.
Number 5?
Number 4?
4.
I'm going to go with Presence. Soderbergh's latest horror film, well, ghost movie, maybe we should say, is being released in Blu-ray and 4K. I think the week before we had Black Bag, but now Presence is getting its release as well. I couldn't find anything on special features, Matt. So,
fair enough.
Number 3.
Get 3 coffins ready.
Jason X is being released by Arrow. The Dolby Vision HDR presentation of the film. This is, of course, affectionately known as Jason in Space. You get an introduction to the film by Kane Hodder. Brand new audio commentary, a bunch of archival features as well. And it has, a double-sided fold-out poster, illustrated collector's booklet. I already got mine, so I'm excited to rewatch it. It has probably one of my favorite kills in the whole franchise, too, for Jason X. And then, where are we, number 2?
I have 2 words. Perfect love and perfect trust.
Speaking of which, Jason Goes to Hell is being released by Arrow as well. Dolby Vision again. You get the theatrical cut and the unrated cut, audio commentaries, brand new audio commentary on the unrated cut as well. Here's the thing. It appears, I already have my copy of this one too, but I'm upset about it because I traded in my Shout Factory one. And when the Shout Factory one first came out, the unrated cut actually was missing a quick gore scene. There's a scene where I guess Jason breaks a guy's arm and the muscle and bone kind of pops out. And they ended up issuing replacement discs. Well, guess what Arrow did? Same thing.
Wow.
They have the same scene missing. Mm-hmm. So now I'm curious if they're going to reissue it. They'll probably have to get a lot of heat. Arrow seems to drag their feet with this kind of stuff. So now I'm once again going to have to see if I can get a replacement copy of the 4K unrated cut because I've already traded in my Blu-ray. So I don't, this really seems to be an issue and I don't know why. Arrow is particularly bad about it. And I think Scream Factory has the same problems where just quality control. And I don't know what it is. Maybe there's the audio track is messed up, missing a scene. They had that same issue with The Cell. I got my replacement disc for that a couple months ago. Mm-hmm. And I don't know what the problem is here, but these people got to shape up. If you're going to start charging people $40, $50, now maybe $60 for these like special edition releases, these redo 4K masters and whatever, I don't really care about getting 5 poster cards in a double-sided poster. Mm-hmm. Give me the film the way it's supposed to be. You know, do the 4K scan, but don't screw up the scenes and screw up the audio. That's all. Focus on that part.
Yeah, especially for $50-$60. That's outrageous.
Yeah, I mean, you can get this for, I think it's for like $35, so it's not outrageous. But there's some things, you know, you get the big box sets and stuff is messed up in them. So what else we have here? Are we at 1? I guess we're at 1.
There can be only one.
Criterion is releasing in 4K one of the great British comedies, With Nail and I. They had it on Blu-ray and DVD for a while. Actually, I don't know if they ever released a Blu-ray. I thought it went out of print. But now they're restoring and reproducing the 4K release. You get a brand new 4K restoration on that. 2 audio commentaries, one from 2020, one from 2001. A new short program, a documentary on the making of the film as well. And also the... now why I'm blanking on the director's name. Oh, Bruce Robinson. One of his earlier film, How to Get Ahead in Advertising, is also being released on Blu-ray by Criterion. Includes a new documentary on the making of that one as well. Have you ever seen With Nail and I?
I haven't, no.
It's very, very good. Very, very funny. Basically, it's about 2 kind of struggling actors, and they're basically drunkards. And all the weird, crazy stuff that happens to them during that time. It's considered, I guess, one of the best, if not one of the best English comedies. So there you go. Also coming out in 4K, a steelbook of A Knight's Tale as well as Law Abiding Citizen. Oliver! ! Is being released in 4K. Prophecy is being released by Kino Lorber. Get a 4K restoration on that, a new audio commentary, and then a Blu-ray with all the special features. Not like The Prophecy, the Christopher Walken film. This is Prophecy, the one with Talia Shire.
You got me excited there for a second.
Yeah. Well, I already have the Prophecy 4K too. Vinegar released that about a year or 2 ago.
Oh, okay.
So actually, it was the first 3 films as a little set. So.
Okay.
And then your Viper video pick of the week, I'm going to go with Santa's Second Wife. This whole thing blows my mind. I hate the concept of this film, Matt. When Mrs. Claus grows tired of coming second to Christmas, she demands a divorce from Santa. Once they sign the divorce decree, Santa and Mrs. Claus return to their 40-year-old selves and re-enter the dating pool. Nick, Santa, meets Nev, a divorced mom of 3, and they quickly fall in love. Unfortunately, the former Miss Claus doesn't think that Nick should have this happily ever after with someone new so soon, and outs his identity to Nev and their children. This adorable Christmas romantic comedy is great for the entire family. I can't wrap my head around this. It makes me uncomfortable with Santa as some hunky 40-year-old guy going to pick up women, right? And then Mrs. Claus. It's just the whole concept is just, it's like a Hallmark movie by like bad people.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe it's perfectly innocent and fine, but just conceptually, I think it's an absolutely horrible idea. So, ViperVideoTampa.com. I don't know. Matt, what should we be streaming this week?
So I'm going to recommend The Order, starring Jude Law and Nicholas Hoult, where Jude Law plays Terry Husk, an FBI agent who is investigating a series of robberies and infiltrates a white supremacist group in the Pacific Northwest. It's available on Hulu. We liked it. I thought it was good.
I really liked it. I thought Jude Law was fantastic. It's probably my favorite Jude Law performance. So,
wow, it's bold.
Good times. Well, I haven't seen that Star Wars show. Everybody loves that one. All right, Matt, let's go ahead and wrap up the big show. We're burning through this one and share our 5 favorite fairy tale movies. I think you get a lot of leeway with this one.
Okay.
Right? Because initially it was like adaptations of fairy tales, but then I'm like, I felt it's kind of limiting. And our list might be too similar, so I just kind of opened it up to kind of just any movie that's kind of like has fairy tale elements type of a thing, I guess. So let's see what those are. Here's one that didn't make the cut for me.
You've been stalking me?
Okay. All right, let's get this straight. You have been stalking me. I went into other chat rooms with different nicknames. And you would get to know each woman. And then as soon as you found out they were any bit older than me, you would just drop them like that. You took your time sniffing out someone my age.
I didn't talk to the others because they were boring. You and I connected.
Oh, right.
Oh, come on. You think I faked all that?
Actually, it's kind of funny. Because every time I would mention some, like, obscure singer or band, you knew so much about them. But not right away. It was like a few minutes later. Maybe to give you enough time to look them up on the web.
That is Elliot Page in one of the earliest roles in Hard Candy, featuring also Patrick Wilson, which is a kind of twisted version of Little Red Riding Hood. And I've always really enjoyed that film. It's really kind of weird and dark and disturbing as... yeah, I don't know. When was the last time you watched Hard Candy? You've seen it, right?
Yeah, I've seen it. I haven't. I think I've only watched it the one time. It's been a while.
Good times. Yeah. I think I watched when it first came out, and then I think I watched it again. I don't know, about 2-3 years ago, and I'm like, it's still pretty good. So, all right, Matt. Why don't you start us off? What's your fifth favorite fairy tale-esque film?
Well, speaking of Red Riding Hood, one that we caught up with several months ago, The Company of Wolves, I think in our werewolf marathon. A kind of amalgamation really leaning into the werewolf aspect or the werewolf implications of Red Riding Hood, about, a werewolf epidemic in the French countryside. It's pretty wild. It's pretty out there.
Yeah, it's my number 5 as well, and I really loved that film. I immediately bought the 4K after we watched it, and Neil Jordan's film is, I don't know, it has such a great dreamlike quality to it as well, and it really captures that kind of grim fairy tale horror vibe, and I love it. So it's my number 5 as well.
All right. Well, my number 4 then is a film based on a book that I really love, from an author that I used to really like, that has really fallen off into well-deserved cancellation, apparently, which really upsets me. But it is the movie version of Stardust, which is essentially an all-original fairy tale where a young man is interested in the local hottie in his village, and in order to win her hand, he crosses the forbidden wall to try and fetch a fallen star. But once you cross the wall, you enter into a fairy tale land, and it's really good. It's got Charlie Cox in it, Claire Danes as the star, Michelle Pfeiffer as the evil witch, also trying to track her down, and a kind of fun turn from Robert De Niro as a lightning pirate.
Ooh. Yeah, I own this. I have never watched it. So, interesting. Somebody gave it to me as a gift, and I have yet to watch it.
It's fun. It's fun. Even, I think Mrs. First Round might like it. It's got a very, also, one of Henry Cavill's very early performances is in this as well.
Oh, nice.
Mm-hmm.
So, my number 4 then is Miyazaki's Spirited Away.
Good one.
A young girl moves to the countryside with her parents and then enters into I don't know, Matt, is it just a fantasy realm, but her parents become, when they cross over a bridge, her parents become pigs, basically, and then she has to save their lives by diving deeper and deeper into this world, and she encounters lots of strange and kind of magical creatures, and it was the first Miyazaki film I ever saw, and absolutely beautiful, stunning, lovely, and so Spirited Away is my 4.
That's a really good pick. I'm kind of annoyed that I didn't pick it, but good, kudos to you. All right, so then my number 3 then is going to be Enchanted, which stars Amy Adams and James Marsden as basically a what if a Disney princess and Disney prince made their way into the real world, and it's actually a lot of fun. It's very funny. It's very on the nose. The singing and songs are actually pretty good. So if you haven't seen it, you should check it out with the family.
Yeah, no, I have not seen that either. No. So then my 3 is, again, another family classic, which is Robert Reiner's The Princess Bride. Just a legendary film, lots of quotable moments. Carrie Ellis and Robin Wright. And just a great cast all around. Very, very funny, very sweet. Top shelf family entertainment. If you haven't seen The Princess Bride, it is great because it's, I'm just going to sound like cliche, Matt, but it's really like the all ages film because it's got the family stuff, there's romance, and there's jokes, though. Everything, it works on an adult level as well as kind of a kid level. And it's really one of the great films. So Princess Bride is my 3.
All right. So then my number 2 then is Guillermo's del Toro's Guillermo the Bull's Pan's Labyrinth. A young girl is sent to go live with her ruthless stepfather, and a fairy, takes her away to meet the faun, where she's and then she kind of interacts with this unseen world. Is it really happening? Is it really an escape? But it has a lot of the really surrealistic, interesting images that Guillermo del Toro is known for. And I forget what his name is, but the Eyeball Man is just some nightmare fuel that you won't forget.
No, absolutely. Yeah. That's good. So then where am I? My number 2 is... See, I could swap my 1 and 2 back and forth. And I've been doing that ever since I put my list together here. Mm-hmm. And I guess I'll just stick with how I originally wrote it, and then we can go from there. Okay. So it's Dario Argento's Suspiria, which, though a horror film, does have very... has fantasy fairy tale elements to it. Mm-hmm. The girl goes away to a dance academy. There's witches, right? People go missing. There's there's a lot of fantasy kind of fairy tale elements, and the bright, lush use of color in the film as well. I remember just watching it when I was younger and just being blown away by it, and then realizing as I got older that this is kind of like a dark fairy tale, not just a kind of straightforward horror film. Mm-hmm. And one thing I read too recently, which I didn't realize, is that they were all supposed to be 12 years old originally.
Really?
Yeah, and I guess the producer, who I also believe is Argento's father or father-in-law, was like, absolutely not. They need to be older. So they made them older, but the script was still suited for like 12-year-olds. That's why there's that one scene when the girl is one of the women is very mean and like sticks her tongue out at her, like, kind of a thing. Right. And it's because they didn't like make, I guess, the changes from when they were all supposed to be 12 years old. Fair. Or at least maybe they kept a bunch of stuff in. So, but I'm curious to see what that film would have been like with children instead of the young 20-somethings that are in the film. But yeah, Suspiria is my 2.
Interesting. Yeah, that's a good one. All right, so then my number 1 then is Sleepy Hollow, a film that we've talked about much as of late. It's a Tim Burton joint, also starring Christina Ricci and Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp has obviously Ichabod Crane in this, a forensics detective in pre 17th century America during the colonial times in upstate New York, where he's confronted with something that supposedly can't be with this man of science. Love the look of it. It's got a really creepy vibe to it. Very, very stylized. I think the performances are a lot of fun, and Christopher Walken as the Headless Horseman is, pretty damn scary.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's an honorable mention for me. My number 1 then was further up on Matt's list, which is Pan's Labyrinth, Guillermo del Toro's film. Beautiful dreamscape stuff, lots of great horror as well. The young girl in, Franco's fascist Spain. Mm-hmm. So it also works as that allegory, and then the whole fairy tale part is her escape from her life and ultimately her fate. And I just remember watching that in the theater, Matt, and just... It's one of those experiences where I was just awed by, just to sound like a cliched snob, awed by cinema and the art of cinema. It really just blew me away watching that thing. And I was like, this is beautiful. It's terrifying. It's dreamlike. It is a wonderful, wonderful film. So that's why Pan's Labyrinth is my 1.
Very good. All right. It's a good one.
Honorable mentions for you?
Yeah. So, another Guillermo film, which I think a lot of people hasn't aged well for a lot of people, but I still really enjoy it. The Shape of Water is very much a classic fairy tale structure. The Green Knight, which is obviously a retelling of an old British myth. And then, if you haven't seen it, Spring, which is about a young man who meets a mysterious woman who's harboring a secret. And then they fall in love, but if he can just leave the secret alone, they'll live happily ever after, but can he? And it's definitely a really fun, be careful what you wish for and don't look too close to things that is worth checking out.
Cool. I would be a little cliche too. I'd go The Little Mermaid, Sleeping Beauty, Snow White, which I do love. The Matrix, which I'm surprised didn't show up on Matt's list, because the whole Alice in Wonderland motif. Beauty and the Beast, Shrek 2, and then Aronofsky's Black Swan.
Yeah.
I would include as well. So there you go, folks. And finally, Snow White: A Tale of Terror. This one with Sigourney Weaver plays the Wicked Queen.
Okay.
I haven't watched it in a very long time. I remember really liking it. I think it came out in the late 80s, maybe early 90s or mid 90s. Regardless, I remember really liking it at the time. Of course, I've since bought it when it was on sale on Blu-ray for like $8, and I've yet to watch it again.
Of course.
I've been meaning to catch up with it for a very long time. But I wanted to give a shout out to that one too. So what's your favorite fairy tale film? We'd love to hear from you. Shoot us an email at feedback@thefirstrun.com. Matt, what's coming up next week on the big show?
Well, rein in your excitement, folks, but it's a big one. Final Destination Bloodlines. We're going to go check that one out, apparently. We're in some doldrums here before the summer season really kicks off.
Yeah. Well, we got Thunderbolts, right? And,
yeah, that's true.
What's the next big one? Is like Mission Impossible? Is that what's the next big thing?
I think that is the next big thing.
Else coming out soon, too. Oh, well, we'll find out together.
We will.
In the meantime, check us out at thefirstrun.com. You can see archives, watch, listen. I'll get there. Listen to archives of all the old shows. The report card is there as well. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Blue Sky. Just do a search for The First Run. Scroll. Eventually you'll find us. And then head over to Apple Podcasts. Give us a review. It'll help other people find the show. And that is that. So we're going to go ahead and take an extended break. We love you all very much. Please take care of yourselves. And we'll see you all soon.
The thermostats, what have you done to them?
I haven't touched them.
Then why has my head gone numb? I must have some booze. I demand to have some booze!